Hello everyone, this is Logan Grab, and today we are going to be taking a look at the school district video presentation that addresses the high reliability schools 5-level hierarchy and in showing if my school district shows promise or limited promise in achieving high reliability status. First, I'd like to give a little bit of information about my school district. It is the McDonald County R1 school district, and the central office is located in Anderson, Missouri. The entire county goes to the same high school. We have a centralized high school, but each town in the district in the county does have its own elementary, junior highs, and primary and pre-K schools. So as a whole, the district serves approximately 3,700 students. Of those students, 70.4% of them qualify for free or reduced lunch. We have currently 285 certified teachers. Student to teacher ratio is in that 13-to-1 range, and there are 13 building administrators along with 3 district administrators. And as I referenced before, our schools in the district are one high school. We do have one alternative high school, and it has actually been somewhat rebranded and has assumed the name of the Mustang Academy recently. We have 6 middle schools, 9 elementary schools, and then 6 primary pre-K schools. The MCR1 district leadership at our district involves Dr. Mark Stanton, our superintendent. We have Joy Hardridge. She is the assistant superintendent. And then we have Mr. Will Gordon, the director of operations. We've seen a little bit of a change in how the positions within our district leadership are titled and the number of people that we actually have. There used to be 2 assistant superintendents, one that dealt with the federal aspect of things, more on the finance side with programs, and then we also had an assistant superintendent of curriculum. That has now changed. And then whereas you might see people titled the assistant superintendent of operations, we just have a director of operations, but their roles and responsibilities are very similar to districts with other titles. Now, whenever we're looking at the high reliability schools model, there are 5 levels within that, and Marzano details that for us very well. We have level 1, which is a safe, supportive, and collaborative schools. And that's really the foundation of everything whenever we're looking at this. Level 2 is effective teaching in every classroom. Level 3 is a guaranteed and viable curriculum. Level 4 is standards reference reporting, and level 5 is a competency-based education. And as we progress through this presentation, we are going to have a more in-depth look at where my district is at with each one of these. Whenever, we started this class, I said that I felt like we had finally got, we have level 1 down, level 2 down, and we are emerging. We are like in the beginning stages of level 3. And I found that when doing the interviewing and surveying with my district leaders, that my perception of that was very similar to theirs, which I was actually glad to see. So it made me feel a little bit more confident in my evaluation of the district. Now, whenever it comes to leadership strategies used to implement effective educational systems, our district has a very clear vision and plan, and that really comes from our district leadership, our superintendents, and the creation of a collaborative environment that fosters communication among all stakeholders is very important. Thopula says, in order for any school to be successful and effective, a strong culture of collaboration and cooperation must be established and maintained. And I'm thankful that's something that I get to experience on a normal basis, and that is absolutely happening in our district. Some of the other things that we see are consistently seeking feedback and making data-driven decisions. That's something we see our leaders doing. And as Marzano, Work, and Sims indicate, periodically quick data should be aggregated and reported. So we got to dig into quick data a little bit during our discussion this week. And while you can have formal surveys, whether they're the short form or the long form, simply having conversations with people also can make a difference in the decisions that we make. And that's one of those examples of quick data. Leading by example with a problem-solving approach is definitely something that I see as a leadership strategy in our district. Emil indicates that the preferred methodology for addressing high-stakes problems of practice in HROs is ongoing inquiry and flexible problem solving. So we have to be adaptable. Different variations of leadership are required for various situations. And so having leaders who can adapt to those situations is important and something that I have a lot of respect for, because there are a lot of different situations that get thrown at administrators on a frequent basis, educators in general, actually. The last note on here, and I thought about not putting it on here, and then I went ahead and did it, but there's a true passion for education that's evident in everything that our leaders do. And I think that that's important to indicate, because you can have all of these other pieces going on, but without some authenticity with it and, people truly loving what they do, there's just not going to be, I don't know, you're ever going to, reach that pinnacle that you're striving for. So I am very certain that having passion for education is a key piece of anybody with a good leadership strategy. Now, we have so many different systems here at MCR1, and I just went ahead and listed off some in a couple of slides we'll talk about briefly, talk a little bit more about one of our curriculum committees programs, and then we're going to kind of delve into more a broad view at the district as a whole. But some of the effective educational systems that our leaders indicated were our teacher mentor program. This is primarily for first and second year teachers. We do have teachers who have several years of experience that come into the district, but they are not necessarily in this program. They may be teamed up with somebody, but that is not considered part of this. We have a district and building level literacy teams. And literacy is always a focus. I'm at the high school, is always a focus for us, but that is definitely a district focus as well. Our gifted program, that is something that I didn't have too much involvement with until this year. I took on, we have seminar classes, which are kind of like homeroom study halls, and I am now working with our 12th grade gifted students. And so that is something that I feel very fortunate to be a part of, and is absolutely one of the most effective systems in our district. We also have our response to intervention program. I am a part of that. There's a lot of moving pieces to that. But we are able to reach a lot of students through it. And then we have our SOAP School Discovery Science program, and that's something that's relatively new in the last couple of years. But if you can envision as a kid getting to leave school, hop on a bus with your classmates and go out to the river and woods and wilderness and perform science experiments, not in a regular classroom setting with your teacher, that is what we've got going on here. And it's such an amazing program, but that was definitely one that was highlighted in this as well. And then whenever we're looking at a leading indicator that's tied to a lot of these, 2.2, the school supports teachers to continually enhance their pedagogical skills through reflection and professional growth. That's tied to, I would definitely say, the first four bullet points on this slide. And you do have a tie with the fifth one, because we are, helping our teachers learn new ways to engage with students and to teach curriculum and to sharpen those pedagogical skills. So I thought that was worth noting on here. Now, looking at the district curriculum committee, we definitely have a leading indicator of 3.1 with the school curriculum and accompanying assessments adhering to state and district standards. That's something that I would say helped us kind of crack into the third level of being an HRS. And these committees are composed of a grade level representative or department chair from each building. And then we have our curriculum directors here at the secondary level and then at the elementary level. And then the superintendent is also part of that. Templeton made such a good point with their dissertation. You have building-wide teams which may consist of teachers, counselors, administration, or other staff can intentionally decide to address a contextual issue in a school with an action research. Similar to classroom-based action research, the process includes establishing the team and gathering stakeholder involvement. So I felt like that just tied directly into this and coming up with, there is research that's done whenever you're building curriculum or implementing curriculum and coming up with a process for stakeholders. And whatever team we have here at the school to do that is very important. Sometimes I think we can maybe get inside of our own bubble a little bit and not see some outside perspectives, and getting that stakeholder involvement is really critical to this process. Now, whenever I surveyed the 3 district leaders, I did get feedback from all 3 of them, our superintendent, assistant superintendent, and the director of operations. I was able to get feedback on leading indicators they felt like we were completely sufficient in, and then of course ones that we needed some improvement in. So on level 1, they felt like 1.1, 1.2, and 1.8 were leading indicators for us, and obviously, we have that safe, supportive, and orderly environment again for faculty and staff, students, parents, and community also perceiving the school as that. And then whenever we're looking at 1.8, we see the school managing its fiscal, operational, and technological resources in a way that does directly support teachers. And as a teacher, I would agree with their answer on this. Now, 2 areas that needed some improvement, 1.3, teachers having a role, a more formal role in the decision-making process regarding school initiatives. I would agree with him that this needs improvement. Since completing my master's and then more so whenever I started my specialist and working within this doctoral program, have been able to insert myself into some things that I didn't before, and fortunately have a district who allows me to be a part of a lot of the administrative side of things as much as I can be. And it's helped me a lot in the classroom, and I definitely see why we need to improve this. And then 1.6, students, parents, and the community having formal ways to provide input regarding the optimal functioning of the school. I think we do this sometimes through surveys, but I don't know that we do it consistently enough. Now, moving to level 2, leading indicators with effective teaching in every classroom. We have 2.2, and we kind of referenced that earlier whenever we were talking about some of our programs that are quite effective, but that is supporting teachers in continuing, to enhance their pedagogical skills, and that can be done through reflection, professional growth plans, a lot of different options there that we have. And then 2.4, the school provides teachers with clear ongoing evaluations of what their strengths and weaknesses are in regard to their teaching, and that, there's multiple sources of data that support that, and that those are consistent with student achievement data. That is something that ever since I have been teaching for the McDonald County R1 school district has always been very consistent, and I definitely appreciate that. A couple of indicators that need improvement based on the district leaders' feedback is 2.5 and 2.6. And that's the school providing teachers with professional development that's job embedded, that's directly related to whatever goals for growth that they have in regard to their instruction. And then 2.6, teachers having opportunities to observe and discuss effective teaching. And that's another one, 2.6. There are times where we have been able to do that, but not consistently. I love going in other teachers' rooms and learning from them. I think that we have some of the best PD and talent within our own schools, and I'm sure most of you are the same way. We've got some incredible educators. But I would say this year, more than any other year, has been so strapped for time due to everything related to COVID and restrictions, and just teachers filling in the gap in ways that they, I don't know, ever have before. And so the opportunities for that have definitely been cut down. Now, our leading indicators for level 3, which is a guaranteed and viable curriculum, 3.1, 0.2, and 0.5 were indicated as the leading indicators. First, we've got the school curriculum and assessments adhering to state and district standards. That is actually not something that, whenever I started here 6 years ago, always happened, but the district and the curriculum directors have worked very hard to make that happen. We have 3.2, the school curriculum is focused enough that teachers can adequately address it in the time they have available. Now that we do have that alignment, I feel like 3.2 is possible, so I see why they said that. And then 3.5, the school analyzes, interprets, and uses data to regularly monitor progress towards school achievement goals. Now, whenever we're looking at indicators needing improvement for level 3, 3.6 is the one that stood out with all of them on their feedback, and that's a school establishing appropriate school and classroom level programs and practices to help students meet those individual achievement goals they have when data that we do collect indicates interventions are needed. And I would say this one, due to a lack of time to address everything within that is definitely something needing improvement. And if time is not something that we are going to get back and obviously can't make more of, then we're going to have to figure out other ways to address this indicator. Now, moving on to level 4, leading indicators. This is standards reference reporting on level 4. The indicator that stood out for this one was 4.2, and that is the school analyzes, interprets, and uses data to regularly monitor progress toward achievement goals for individual students. And being someone who is part of that process, we absolutely do that. And it was consistent across the board with all 3 leaders indicating that. But then we turn to what needs improvement for level 4, and that's 4.1. And that's the school establishing clear and measurable goals focused on those critical needs regarding improving achievement of individual students. And I think that also ties back to the level 3 indicator that needed improvement. So as you can see, everything builds and is connected in one way or another. Now we get to our last level, level 5, leading indicators. And I really honestly appreciated the transparency and honesty that the leaders had, because they did not select any on this for competency-based education. And if we're being completely objective about where our district is at, I think that this is a very accurate representation right now. Now, whenever we go to the indicators needing improvement, you can see we have a lot of work to do here. We've got 5.1, 2, and 3. And at no point really are we meeting these on a consistent basis, sometimes not at all, honestly. So students moving on to the next level of the curriculum on any subject area only after they've demonstrated competence at the previous level. We use a standard grading scale here at the high school, for example, and I think that the word competence means something different to people depending on their experience with it. We all might have our own definition of that. So I think really defining what that means too is important to achieving that. 5.2, the school schedule accommodating students moving at a pace appropriate to their situation and needs. While I don't see this being done on a consistent basis and it needs improvement, I am seeing more and more of that as we've been accommodating different situations due to COVID. And so it's really, I think, opened our eyes to what the possibilities are in the future and what options we really can have for students. And then we're looking at 5.3. The school affords students who have demonstrated competency levels greater than those articulated in the system immediate opportunities to begin work on advanced content or career paths of interest. And while this does need improvement, absolutely, it is something that I feel like we're starting to see sprinklings of in our school with some of the programs that we have. And so I am really excited about seeing the growth that we might see in 5.3 in the future. Now, when asked at what level they felt that the MCR1 schools are currently operating at, I did receive direct feedback from them on what they were thinking, and Dr. Stanton said level 2, and I think that that's a solid answer since we have fully achieved everything at 1 and 2 and are just breaking into 3. It makes sense to me that he answered level 2, and he really kind of tied that to witnessing staff teaching effectively in classes that he's observed. Before he was our superintendent, he was the high school principal, was actually the high school principal my senior year of high school. So he's had a lot of different experiences and still regularly visits our schools. Joy Hardridge, our assistant superintendent, ranked us at a level 3. And she said, I believe the teachers and staff have put in a great deal of work to provide curriculum to students that meets their needs. However, there are several supports that could be put into place so that the curriculum is more individualized and it is more supported. And that definitely aligns with some of the indicators needing improvement that we saw earlier. And then the last piece of feedback came from Will Gordon, the Director of Operations, who also ranked the district at a level 3. And he said, I believe our district works extremely hard to achieve a positive school environment and culture for students to learn. Work has been established to not only develop a safe and effective environment for teachers and students, but to also strengthen our curriculum. However, there are many challenges yet to work out before we are able to effectively say we are implementing an effective competency-based education. And I appreciated all of their feedback, but I especially was drawn to Mr. Gordon's. And I liked how he acknowledged the positive things that were happening, but then kind of set the path for what we have to look forward to if we want to keep achieving the rest of, level 3. We're at a solid level 3 and then projecting to level 4 and 5. That is the end of my presentation. If I had to say if the district is showing promise or limited promise, I would definitely say we're showing promise. The last couple of years, I would say that we were a little bit more in the limited promise land, but I think we're in the true promised land now. So I hope you enjoyed my presentation. I am looking forward to seeing everybody else's, and have a great weekend, guys. See ya.